Tonight, Russian drones shot down after entering Polish airspace. Is Russia's war with Ukraine expanding? And does the escalation put pressure on the White House to usher in a peace deal?
Plus, the fallout continues over Israel's strike on Qatari soil.
They violate Qatar's sovereignty. They do nothing to secure the peace.
The international backlash and reaction from the president.
And whistleblowers detail shocking accusations against tech giant Meta.
Meta is aware that its VR platform is full of underage children. Meta purposely turns a blind eye to this knowledge, despite it being obvious to anyone using their products.
The congressional push to add safety guards and protect children online. All this and more tonight on Faith Nation.
We begin with breaking news. A giant in the conservative movement shot and killed today. Good evening, I'm John Jessup.
And in Washington, I'm Jenna Browder. Charlie Kirk, who built a strong following in the conservative movement, is dead at the age of 31, confirmed by President Donald Trump. The president posting a tribute in his honor on Truth Social, saying, "The great and even legendary Charlie Kirk is dead. No one understood or had the heart of the youth in the United States of America better than Charlie. He was loved and admired by all, especially me, and now he is no longer with us. Melania and my sympathies go out to his beautiful wife, Erica, and family. Charlie, we love you." And the shooting happened while Kirk was speaking to college students in north central Utah. We have video. It is from a distance, and it doesn't show blood, but a warning, it may be upsetting.
Counting, we're not counting gang violence. Great. Oh my God. Go, run, run. Whoa.
And Kirk was rushed away with his security team, according to a spokesperson from the Utah Valley University, where he was speaking. Still, no word on a suspect at this time of the broadcast, but the FBI has dispatched agents to the scene. Kirk gained notoriety advocating for conservative causes among young people as the founder of Turning Point USA. And for more on this, let's bring in CBN News Chief Political Analyst David Brody.
David, a difficult day. I know that you knew Charlie personally. Let's talk about what was happening at the moment. He was taking questions from the crowd, as he normally does at these rallies, and was talking about transgender shooters when he was hit. Let's really get your reaction to the news of his passing.
I mean, it's devastating, guys. It's absolutely devastating. Sometimes words just don't capture it, and this is one of those times. You know, I knew Charlie pretty well. I've interviewed him quite a few times, known him for about 10 to 15 years or so. If he was here today, and I would say to him, "Charlie, what do you want people to know about your life? What do you want people to know about your legacy?" I guarantee you he would say something along these lines. "Tell them about Jesus." That's what he would say. If you watch his rallies, all the clips out on social media are all about, you know, political stuff, transgender, this and that. But he always led with Jesus, and he always ended with Jesus. And he had so many atheists and agnostics folks come up to him at those rallies, those events, and he would talk with them intellectually and try to convince them and have a discussion about Jesus with them. So that, to me, is Charlie Kirk's legacy, about biblical values, Jesus, and really reaching the younger generation, not just for conservative victories. That wasn't what it was about for Charlie. It was about reaching them for Christ. And I think that plays into the revival generation that we've been hearing so much about with Gen Z.
Yeah. Charlie leaves behind a beautiful young family, his wife Erica, 2 young children. Just hours before he was shot, actually, Erica posted on X, Psalm 46:1, "God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble." David, talk about Kirk and the man the conservative movement lost today.
Well, they lost a free speech hero, is what they lost. And isn't it, I don't know if the word's ironic, sad, whatever you want to call it, maybe appropriate, that if he was going to die, and die in such a horrific way, that he would do it defending free speech and talking about biblical principles and talking to the younger crowd. That's what he was all about at the end of the day, as we talked about with Jesus. And of course, when it comes to free speech, he was literally devoted his life to that mission politically, if you will, and constitutionally. So it's very, very difficult. I do think ultimately, guys, we'll see how this plays out. But I'm a little concerned about retribution, obviously. Conservatives back at liberals, maybe liberals doing something. I don't know, but I can tell you this. As much as it would be horrible for a conservative politician or someone like that to be shot and killed, the Charlie Kirk thing is hitting a lot of folks much differently this evening because of not just his status in the conservative movement, but because he basically took a bullet for freedom, and he took a bullet for free speech, and he's speaking about biblical principles, and I think that hits conservatives, especially conservative Christians, very hard, because many conservative Christians out there are also speaking very truthfully about biblical principles, and I think they can relate quite a bit to what Charlie Kirk was doing.
You talk about retribution, and let's hope that it doesn't go that
right.
way, but we are in an era where we seem to be seeing more political violence. President Trump had 2 attempts on his life, and now Charlie Kirk. And we've seen others fall victim on the right and the left. Josh Shapiro earlier this year, Steve Scalise, Gabby Giffords. David, how do we attack this growing political violence on the right and the left?
It sounds so trite, but it starts at the top. It has to start with leadership. People are looking for leadership in their lives, and that starts with Yeshua, Jesus. He is the one and only God of the universe. But when it gets into politics, leaders have to take responsibility for some of what they're saying out there. And that's on both sides of the aisle. And when will it stop? When will it stop? I'm concerned it'll get worse before it gets better, guys. I'm really concerned about that. And that's just the honest truth, at least from an analysis standpoint, the way I see it.
Yeah. All right, Chief Political Analyst David Brody. David, we appreciate you coming in for this just tragic story.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, David.
Thanks.
Coming up, an escalation in Russia's war with Ukraine and fallout over Israel's strike on Doha. More global headlines when Faith Nation returns. Welcome back. Russia's war against Ukraine is escalating, now threatening NATO territory.
That's right. NATO fighter jets were sent scrambling overnight, racing to stop a massive Russian drone attack that spilled over into Polish territory. According to Poland's Prime Minister, 15 Russian drones crossed into Polish airspace. Polish and NATO forces shot at least 4 of them down. Video shows the aftermath from wreckage of a drone damaged a building in eastern Poland. No casualties were reported. A NATO spokesperson saying this is the first time NATO planes have engaged potential threats in Allied airspace. The Poles calling the incursion an act of aggression.
This is not our war. This is not just a war for Ukrainians. This is a war. This is a confrontation that Russia has declared on the entire free world. And this must finally be understood by everyone without exception.
The Kremlin claims it had no intention of striking Poland, but the cross-border escalation happened as part of a massive Russian assault on Ukraine. Despite President Trump's push for a peace deal last month, Russia has only stepped up its attacks. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is urging allies to do more, calling for stronger air defenses and faster military aid.
And joining us now for more on the response to that Russian provocation in Poland, Senior White House correspondent Kelly Wright and Natalie Eckenau, a Senior Research Analyst at Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Welcome to both of you.
Kelly, let's start with you first. Let's talk about what the White House has said about what seems to be this growing escalation from Russia.
Yeah, John, good evening to you and Jenna. Look, the president is looking at this very closely. The White House is looking at it. And of course, the president taking to Truth Social today saying, what's with Russia violating Poland's airspace with drones? Here we go. That would indicate his frustration yet again with Vladimir Putin for not getting to the peace table instead of escalating a war. This is not the first time, however, that Polish airspace has been violated. It has happened several times since Russia launched its invasion of Ukraine in 2022. But this latest strike on Poland has been the most significant. Russia sending those multiple drones into Poland as it conducted strikes, and as you just reported, NATO scrambling its fighter jets to shoot down the drones. And all of this raises more concerns throughout Europe as well as here at the White House about Russia's continued aggression against Ukraine. John.
Yeah, Natalie, Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk said this situation brings us the closest we have been to open conflict since World War II. Natalie, help us to understand the severity of what took place from an international standpoint.
Yeah, so I think there are two big things to keep in mind when it comes to the significance of these latest developments. The first being that NATO air power was used to engage a threat on the territory of a NATO country. And the second is that Poland actually invoked NATO Article 4. Those are both big developments. That said, it remains to be seen whether or not anything tangible happens in the next couple of days. The most immediate impact has been tougher appetite from Congress for tougher sanctions on Russia. But there, too, it remains to be seen whether or not Trump will greenlight those sanctions.
And Natalie, I'd like to turn to Israel and the strikes against Hamas and Qatar. The international fallout it's interesting to note because it seems to complicate things. The White House had this delicate statement where on the one hand it was the stick and then on the other hand it was the carrot. How does this complicate things with other nations, especially Qatar, who's been helping lead negotiations between Israel and Hamas?
Yeah, so for the Trump administration, the relationship with Qatar and with Israel in this dance is a pretty tricky one. Qatar is a country that's a major non-NATO ally and has extensive defense and economic relationship with the United States, but at the same time, it shelters Hamas terrorists, it sponsors them financially, and it's been mediating in Gaza for nearly 2 years now. So you can see why the Trump administration's response is challenging. In terms of the regional response, most of the countries in the region have come out against Israel's action. That's pretty par for the course when it comes to Israeli action in Gaza and beyond. Earlier today, Qatar's foreign minister said that his country was reconsidering its relationship with Hamas. That means Hamas's presence in Doha, as well as Qatar's role in the ongoing hostage talks. That will be an interesting development if the Qataris do decide to divorce from Hamas. At this point, that actually will play into Israel's hands, and frankly is an outcome that the U.S. should have been pursuing for the last 2 years. So that's something to watch for moving forward.
Yeah, Kelly, besides being a U.S. ally, the president seems to have a close personal relationship with Qatari leadership. What did the U.S. know and when? And how does that complicate the president's relationship with both sides here?
Well, the president has to play both sides and be close to both sides. Remember, Israel is a strong ally as well as Qatar. To Natalie's point, though, the Israelis have always distrusted the situation of Hamas leaders living in Qatar, and that's possibly why they initiated this attack, although Bibi Netanyahu says it was based on a terrorist strike on people in Jerusalem the day before. But the president has told reporters that he was very unhappy about the way that all of this went down, telling reporters that he's not thrilled about the whole situation, and he's still calling upon Hamas to return all Israeli hostages held by Hamas. And when asked if he was surprised about this taking place, he says, "I'm never surprised by anything, especially when it comes to the Middle East." And during the White House press briefing yesterday, I watched White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt as she explained that President Trump spoke to the Emir and Prime Minister of Qatar and thanked them for their support and friendship to our country. And he assured them that such a thing like this would never happen again on their soil. Finally, this is significant.
Finally, Natalie, in the few seconds that we have left, do you think Israel's capable from a military standpoint to keep up with these multiple fronts? They've also launched strikes on Houthi rebels today. You've got Syria and Lebanon, so can they keep up?
I think the Israelis can definitely keep up. The question is whether or not they have the energy and the backing from the United States to do so. But as Israel demonstrated in Qatar the other day, they're going to go after their enemies whether we like it or not.
Okay, Kelly and Natalie, thank you both very much.
Sure.
While tensions simmer in the Middle East and Europe, the U.S. is building up its military presence in the Caribbean, putting pressure on Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. Washington accuses his government of fueling the drug trade, and a parallel dispute with neighboring Ghana over oil-rich territory is adding fuel to the fire. Chuck Holton brings us that story.
Just this year, the U.S. Coast Guard has seized almost $500 million worth of cocaine off the coast of Venezuela, and the Trump administration has gone on the offensive. In recent weeks, the U.S. military deployed 8 warships, surveillance planes, a nuclear submarine, and 10 stealth fighters to the region. Last week, the U.S. struck a suspected smuggling vessel, killing 11 in a mission authorized directly by the president. Officials say the surge is part of an aggressive counter-narcotics campaign.
Billions of dollars of drugs are pouring out of Venezuela and other countries. Venezuela has been a very bad actor, and we understand that.
Maduro's government denies the charges and insists the drug war is being used as a reason to destabilize his government.
Venezuela is not a relevant country in terms of drug trafficking and in all related matters. So this lie is as crude and false as the claim that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction.
Maduro has mobilized millions of militia members and warned Venezuela could declare a republic in arms if attacked. Venezuelan fighter jets have twice buzzed U.S. Navy ships in international waters. The U.S. commanders say any further threats could be met with force. Another facet to this conflict is playing out here in Guyana. Venezuela's tiny neighbor has been under threat as Venezuela claims sovereignty over approximately 2/3 of the country, along with massive offshore oil reserves. One key in this conflict is the U.S. has major business interests here, with ExxonMobil and other companies developing huge new fields. Washington's security posture may also be aimed at deterring Venezuelan moves against Guyana. Venezuela doesn't even have any roads that connect it to its neighbor to the east here in Guyana, and the border dispute between the two countries was supposed to have been settled more than 100 years ago. Venezuela never really made much of a fuss about it until 11 billion barrels of oil was discovered offshore. And now Venezuela wants to take over an area of Guyana about the size of Florida. And that's why when Secretary of State Marco Rubio came here in March, he made it very clear to the Venezuelan government, keep your hands off.
There will be consequences for adventurism. There will be consequences for aggressive actions because you have a very difficult challenge on your hands with a dictator that's making illegitimate territorial claims.
Pressed on whether the U.S. would back Guyana militarily, Rubio left little doubt.
It would be a very bad day for the Venezuelan regime if they were to attack Guyana or attack ExxonMobil or anything like it. It would be a very bad day, a very bad week for them.
The Trump administration has a $50 million bounty on Maduro. So while U.S. officials frame the buildup as counter-narcotics, the sheer firepower deployed raises questions whether Washington is preparing to go beyond interdiction and possibly move to oust Nicolas Maduro from power. For certain, the stakes are rising. Whether this confrontation stops at drug enforcement or escalates into regime change may depend on Maduro's next move. From Georgetown, Guyana, I'm Chuck Holton for CBN News.
Thank you, Chuck. Coming up, the alarming accusations from Meta researchers and the work to protect kids online.
Welcome back. Two former employees of Meta say the company's virtual reality products have exposed children to adult content.
Their testimony before senators has renewed concerns about protecting children online. CBN's Capitol Hill correspondent Michelle London joins us now with more on the hearing. Michelle, this involves the parent companies of Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, so the former employees say they've uncovered evidence proving the exploitation of children, get this, by the company's technology. During a Senate committee hearing Tuesday, one of the witnesses shared disturbing details. Take a listen.
Underage children using Meta VR in Germany were subject to demands for sex acts, nude photos, and other acts that no child should ever be exposed to. Meta demanded that we erase any evidence of such dangers that we saw.
The former employees are part of a larger whistleblower complaint, which claims Meta displays a jarring disinterest and unwillingness to improve its platforms and avoid known harm. It also accuses the company of deleting or altering research while ignoring the widespread usage of underage users, all for the sake of gaining a profit. Senator Marsha Blackburn has been working to pass tighter online guardrails.
The metaverse has become the Wild West for criminals who prey on our children.
Meta dismisses the accusations as nonsense, stating the claims are based on selectively leaked internal documents that were picked specifically to craft a false narrative. This is not the first time Meta has been called out on Capitol Hill. Last year, if you remember, during a similar hearing, CEO Mark Zuckerberg apologized directly to parents of children harmed by social media. But since then, he's touted the company's investments in child safety tools and parental supervision features. Blackburn and other senators have renewed calls to pass the Kids Online Safety Act, which would mandate more parental controls and privacy protections for minors. While the bill passed the Senate, it was blocked in the House. John, Jenna.
Okay, London, thank you. And still ahead, a powerful time of worship at a Tennessee church. Next on Faith Nation.
Well, finally tonight, a special guest joined the choir at Rollings Hill Community Church in Franklin, Tennessee to help lead worship.
And the congregation got a special treat during a recent service when Carrie Underwood showed up. The country music star and American Idol judge visited her home church and led the congregation in worship with the song, Pour Your Spirit Out. The band who wrote the song, Thrive Worship, shared a video of the performance on Instagram, saying how thankful they are to see how God is using the song in his church. And this isn't the first time the country star has led worship at her church. Underwood has never shied away from sharing her faith and released a gospel album called My Savior in 2021.
A lot of great duos as well. There's a great one with her and CeCe Winans singing a great worship tune as well.
Yeah. Well, that's going to do it for Faith Nation. For any updates on Charlie Kirk, you can go to cbnnews.com.
Thanks. Have a good night.